It said that you are a part of the problem. And I'm like, really? Not like the 500 years of oppression and trash and like not that.
Right,
You.
yeah. Me. Me specifically, yes. It doesn't upset me. I heard it during Hillary. It is kind of funny because when people say that, I'm like, well, what are you gonna tell me that I didn't vote for her because she's black and a woman? Because I can tell you that's not the reason why I didn't vote for her.
Mhm.
So, and I always like to clarify, I 100% think that she was better. She is better than Trump. Absolutely. But do I think that she's the best for this country? No. And maybe if she wasn't a Democrat, like, I don't trust Democrats anymore, and she is a part of that system. And I was seeing her already starting to like go back on some of her promises. Before she was all like, she was for the Green New Deal and to stop fracking. And then, of course, she was like, oh, well, I believe that there are better ways to frack. And it's like, can you really be a part of the Green New Deal and also support fracking? I don't think you can, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I was seeing a lot of the same old stuff that Democrats do, and they run their whole campaign on all these promises, and nothing happens. And she talked about she was going to codify Roe v. Wade. Well, I know you weren't president, but you were pretty close to the last president who also said that he was going to do that. And that didn't happen. And so I'm over the two-party system.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Kay?
I mean, I understand, like, I truly do understand why people, like, feel the way that they do. And I think a lot of it, one, is, like, people don't, like, they're not breaking it down to, like, what state do you live in? Are you living in a state that is going to definitely vote for Donald Trump? You know what I mean? Or do you live in a purple state where, it could, your vote staving off Trump, because I don't believe, the whole 92%. I don't believe that the vast majority of the 92% were voting for Kamala. I feel like the vast majority of the 92% were voting against Trump, and understanding that, I don't like the two-party system either, but also that's what we have, you know what I'm saying? And we can either have status quo, you know what I'm saying, which is terrible, or we can have, a quick descent into fascism. And I think that's why people are making that assumptive statement, without understanding all of the facts behind it. That's why people feel comfortable saying that. But I always say that it's not the people who didn't vote for Kamala or the people who voted third party is the reason why Trump won. The reason why Trump won is because people voted for him, like millions of people, and or allegedly, you know what I'm saying, they stole that shit, but you ain't hear it from me, so because he did get all the, not some, but all the, the purple states, or all the, so I mean, I think
What
that
the swing
people
state?
are angry. They just
Yeah.
want somebody, they just want to, have somebody to blame, or just to feel like, it was somebody's fault for what happened. And really it's a conglomeration of things that just kind of fell. The more, like, I hear people talk, like, Kamala was never supposed to win. Like, she was never going to win. It just wasn't in the cards for her. And I think that, this country wanted to play in the face of a woman, which was Hillary Clinton, because at the time, whether we liked her or not, she was the most qualified person to run for president, probably to that point. And then Kamala Harris, who was probably the most qualified person to run for president at that point, and was told no because, white supremacy. So, she was never going to win anyway. It was always supposed to be this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, to me, and I've said this a bunch of times, like, to me, it's the same plane. It's two wings of the same plane. So it was still going to be fascism. It was just going to be kinder, gentler fascism under Kamala. was kind of my stance on it. And I did vote for her in this last election. But the only reason that I voted for her in this last election is because I live in Georgia and I felt that my vote would have mattered more. Had I lived in Indiana, like I did the previous election, I would not have voted for Kamala. And I just feel like if the Democrats want our vote, then the Democrats need to, first of all, grow a fucking spine. And second of all, like, get your messaging together and come out and win my vote. But to think that I owe you my vote because you're kinder, gentler fascism. And so instead of, openly calling for, rolling back DEI and all of the things, it's the same shit. It's just quieter and gentler. If you want my vote, you need to earn it. Bottom line. And nobody owes you anything. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, a two-party system is not democracy. And so fix your shit. If you want me to participate in the way that you want me to participate, then you need to fucking fix it. But from what I can tell, all the systemic injustices and bullshit that we go through is a feature of the system, not a bug. And so y'all need to figure that shit out first before you're trying to blame somebody else. Yeah. Any closing thoughts on
I
that?
was just gonna say, I also think some people need to learn, like, what the difference between, like, advocating for something and supporting something. Because, yeah, a lot of Democrats support, like, progressive policies and, say that they want to do this and that, but are they actually advocating for it?
Well, yeah, because what does that mean? Like, to say that you support it is like, okay, I hear you, but what are your actions?
Exactly.
Your
Exactly.
actions don't say that you support it.
Right. Yeah, and I know, like, for me personally, again, like, Jill Stein got arrested up here at Wash U during, like, a pro-Palestine protest. Meanwhile, like, Kamala, during one of her little rallies was like, well, if you don't want there to be a Palestine, just go vote for Trump. Or, like, and it's like,
He
well,
wasn't wrong though.
why do we have to say it like that?
She wasn't right. I mean, she wasn't wrong. I
What did
mean,
she
in
say?
saying that,
Wait,
No,
what did she
those are
say? What did
facts.
she say?
She was
no, 100%.
What did she say?
that. Oh, if you don't want there to be a Palestine, go vote for Trump.
And she said it in response because there were some pro-Palestine protesters at her rally, and I
Right.
think they were chanting, like, free Palestine, and then that was her, like,
Did
response.
she address the fact that all of the thousands of people who have died over the last year and a half all happened under her and Joe Biden's watch, though? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's a slower burn, but like, Palestine's still gonna be gone if we don't stop them from bombing children.
Right.
I think that's kind of the thing. I think, like, on one hand, you know what I'm saying? If you're cold, calculating, and distant from your politics, and you're not just voting for somebody based on, like, if you like them, like, we know she's terrible, but do we want to fight fascism with, like, clean water and, an intelligence agency that's not going to, get people who are in the field, murdered, or people go kidnapped and they don't even care about them because they happen to be Black servicemen? Or do you want to fight fascism, under slightly better conditions? The problem is that when the conditions are slightly better, people don't really feel or see the fascism, and it's going to get increasingly harder because protesting under a Biden or a Kamala was going to already be fraught with, police brutality and all this. It's going to get way worse under, Trump. And, I just think about it even, like, personally, like, even though I have an American passport, I don't have an American birth certificate. So I'm nervous about flying out of the country now because what if they don't, you know what I'm saying? What if they decide that I'm an enemy combatant and now I can't come back to the United States because I wasn't technically born here, even though my parents were service members? I have an American birth certificate and a social security number. So this isn't out of the realm, a possibility, and we don't think about it because we're like, well, I'm an American citizen. Well, so am I, but they're already taking people who are American citizens but have different levels of, how they got there. So I think that's kind of, I hope at least for people who are, further left, that that's their mindset when they're thinking about voting for a Kamala, is that I don't want to have to fight this regime under Trump. It'd be far easier to fight it under, a Democratic. But the Democrats, honestly, are just, they're, what is it called? Like like their opposition, but not for real. Like, what is that called? There's a word for it where they, pretend to push back, but ultimately, you know what I'm saying? They want the same things anyway. So, I mean, really, it just take down the system, to complete
Yeah.
overhaul,
Yeah.
Yeah.
remodel.
And so as sick as it made me when I realized that Trump had won again, um, and I was depressed for weeks afterwards, like really struggling, right? But I feel like it's forcing people to face reality faster. Like, you don't have any, like, we don't have any choice. Like, this is what it is, where people could argue or debate, like, oh, it's not that bad. Things have come so far. Had Kamala won, we can't do that anymore. Like, it just, whatever is happening, right? So I think it sucks. And also, I'm hoping that it moves us faster to whatever comes next because, like, I'm fucking over it.
I also feel like too, with the amount of money that both Trump and Kamala had raised with like endorsements and donations and stuff, both hit over $1 billion. So like that, I feel like that should just prove to you, if you're the average American, right? Like those candidates aren't for you. They're not serving you. Whereas like the other candidates that ran, I don't think any of them like went over $5 million.
Yeah,
So like that should just tell you right there,
no,
it's
for
not it's
sure.
not working for you.
Also, just want to say something about Jill Stein. I know a lot of people voted for her, but I don't really trust her either. I really don't. I do like the Green Party, generally speaking, and I feel like she does benefit a lot from that. But ultimately, I think that she is basically a white woman, white womaning, and she's using this like platform and movement to garner whatever. The allegations about her being compromised by Russia. I don't know, but I think they should be really truly looked into. I don't trust her. I don't trust her either. I just think that she again would be a slightly nicer form of what we already have. And I think that ultimately the agenda that she has, unless we were able to put people in like if we're going to do Green Party, we got to start on the local level in Congress first and foremost, because you can't get to the presidency or anything because once you're there, they're going to pull a Barack Obama, and your agenda is not going to get passed anyway, no matter, how leftist it is. It's not going to get passed with the current Congress, whether it's more Dems or more Republicans.
Say when I was doing a little bit of research, I want to say there are a lot of local politicians that are Green Party. Like I think there's a lot more than people think there are, but yeah, like I don't know how they, break past to get into Congress and the House cuz yeah, typically you have to pick one or the other or you don't get taken seriously. I also wanted to say to that person that was so upset with me, like, why are you upset with me for like voting? Like I did my right thing, right? Like I went out and voted. Instead, I wish people were mad at the system that allowed Trump to win twice. Like I didn't do that. The system allowed for a fascist to win this elect twice. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it's okay. You can blame me. It's fine.
No, no,
I think, like I said before, it's not like one person or you but I think it's just the, something tangible to be upset at. And I think also people are, because it's not you or your vote, I think they're thinking of like the mindset of like the so many people who are like, I'm not going to go vote, or I just hate her so much, even if they live like in purple states. There were people who were, like, oh, we're not voting for her because of the, war in Gaza. And then, and then it gets escalated under, the new person. So I think that people, they just, like I said, they just need somebody or something, tangible that they can feel, because they can't do anything about the system. They can't go off on the system.
It's just somebody that you can directly lash out at.
Yeah. Misplaced anger,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, for sure.
I don't think that we're going to shame people into like voting back for the Democrats because they're terrible. So we'll see. I mean, like supposedly in like Florida and Pennsylvania and a couple other places, there's some really close races, but that's less because people are interested in Democrats, and again, more because they're voting against something. They're not voting for something, and that's sad. That's a sad state of political affairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's just it. So for me, unless the Democrats do something pretty major, like the singing "We Shall Overcome" on was it the House floor or the Senate floor, wherever they were. That was like the final straw for me. I am so fucking done. I am done. And I think what I said was that they needed to stop singing and start swinging, or you will never.
Yes.
I cannot.
Get active.
Like, it's embarrassing at this point. Like, you're not even trying. I just feel like you're not even trying.
And I don't think they're really. I think that, like, because activism in politics, is part of it is performative, but they're doing the wrong dance. Like, they need to like get a new choreographer because this ain't it. But then also, you have people like Jasmine Crockett, who seems like she's a couple seconds away from swinging, and people are also mad at her for the things that she says and things that she does.
Yeah. No, I like Jasmine Crockett. I like her. I like her a lot, but I'm very disillusioned by the Democrats right now, and that's just that on that. I'm disillusioned by the entire system. Like, it's all trash. It's all trash. Throw that shit in the garbage and let's just start over from scratch. It's all trash. Black people can't be racist.